How's it going, everybody? This is Jay with Vanguard Vlogs, coming to you with the first of many of my deck profiles. And today, I'll be focusing on the Nubatama Ninjas. I want to show off the slickness of the sleeves there. Nubatama is a clan I've been intrigued by ever since the show, you know, old Ninja Master M and everything. And since the first set, they really haven't gotten any support. So now with BT13, they actually have like triggers and a deck that you can build out of them. So for the starting Vanguard, we go ahead and use Stealth Beast Kuroku. His effect, he of course has Forerunner, and on the turn when he boosts a Nubatama Vanguard that hits, you can Soul Blast one and discard up to 2 cards from your opponent's bind zone. So first set Nubatamas made you discard right out of your hand. I feel like Bushido thought that was kind of OP, and so they kind of benched the clan until they could balance it. The whole effect now is the newer cards will bind cards, and then you use his effect and effects like it to go ahead and discard them once they're binded. So he's your starter. There's another guy that pretty much just, I think he just draws a card if you have a grade 3. So, you know, this guy's really the only one you ever want to use. Next up, trigger lineup. So Nubatamas only have rainbow triggers. So, of course, 4 heals, 4 crit, 4 draw, and 4 stand. And their stand trigger actually has the ability where you put it in the soul and give a Nubatama plus 3k. Not bad. It's always nice when your stands do extra stuff, but let's be honest, that effect's not going to win any, you know, Academy Awards. Moving on to grade 1s, we have the Tempest Stealth Rogue Fuki. He's not bad. He's a 7k booster. You can counterblast 1, put him into the soul. If you have a Nubatama Vanguard and the number of cards in your opponent's hand is 3 or less, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a card at random from your opponent's hand, bind it face down. And at the end of the turn, they take the card in the bind zone and put it in their hand. Again, so this is a good effect if your opponent has 2 cards in their hand and you're sure they're holding on to a perfect guard. You can either take the perfect guard or the card they're going to discard for it. Or if they just have, you know, it's a great way to thin out the hand. Ideally, you would want to use his effect in conjunction with your Kuroku, so that way you could bind the card and then discard it. But at the very least, you know, you can have cards out of their hand when they attack. I like this guy's effect. I'm not in love with it. But I go ahead and I run 3 of them, just because that's a nice effect to have, and he has a 7k booster, so he's pretty good in my book. Next up, we have the Stealth Rogue of the Night, Steven. Yeah, he's just an 8k booster. I really like his art. I run 3 of him just because, yeah, he's an 8k booster. I've missed 8k boosters at the later sets. All the clans kind of moved away from him, so threw him in there just for the boost power. And then we have Stealth Dragon Dreadmaster. Now, he's one of the original Nubatamas from BT1 you can see down there. Dreadmaster's OP. He's just beautiful. So his auto effect is you counterblast 1 when an attack hits during the battle that he boosted a Nubatama. If the number of cards in your hand is less than your opponent's, you pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses a card from his hand and discards it. His or her hand and discards it. So this guy is amazing because, number 1, it's just flat out counterblast discard. He's a 7k booster, and essentially you're either gonna force a shield on his boosted attack so that way they don't discard, or you're gonna make them discard. It's not hard to have less cards in your hand than your opponent, because you can literally just fill up your field until you have exactly 1 less card than they do. Dreadmaster's effect, drop it down. I love this guy. He is pretty good, and if people aren't watching him, he can catch them off guard and kind of thin out their hands. So I definitely run 4 of him. They're not that hard to come by, but they are from the first set. So 99.9% of this deck you can get out of BT13. Dreadmaster is one of the guys you want to get out of BT01. I run 1 other grade 2 from BT01, and I'll get to him in just a moment. But Dreadmaster, he's okay by me. I like him. And then, of course, 4 perfect guards. And I really fucking love the art on this guy. Yeah, these guys aren't too hard to get. Part of the reason I really like Nubatamas right now is because they're kind of a budget deck. I literally, excluding the sleeves here, got this whole deck for about 50-60 bucks. So it's really budget. And then if you guys have a lot of friends at the shop that have been buying the hell out of this set just to get, you know, Chaos Breaker or some of the Dimensional Robo stuff, it's really not hard to kind of take the Nubatamas off somebody's hand. Moving on to the grade 2s. This is the other BT01 Nubatama I was talking about, Stealth Beast Shigizumi. Whenever he attacks, if the number of cards in your hand is greater than your opponent's, he gets plus 3k. So he's an 11k attacker fairly consistently. If you swing with your vanguard first, drive check, and then swing with him as a rear guard, you got a really good chance of having more cards in their hand because you just, drew two, essentially. I like him because he's an 11k. I like him better than the 10k vanilla. It's really a matter of personal preference. I'm going to play test him some more, but right now, as it stands, he's my preferred grade 2. So I run for him. He's the other guy from the first set. Definitely want to get your hands on him. From the first set, they had exactly one of each grade, a grade 0, who I think when he blocks, your opponent discards a card, which, meh. They have the Dreadmaster, the grade 1, he has the grade 2, and the grade 3, I think, is Stealth Dragon Voidmaster. There's some talk on running him with the Break Ride, but we'll get to grade 3s later, and you'll see why it's really not worth it. So for him, he's good. This guy is my best friend, Stealth Dragon Kokujo. That's the Duel Masters guy. Anyway, Kokujo's effect is, during your turn, when an opponent's card is placed into his or her bind zone, if you have a Nubatama Vanguard, this card gets plus 2k till the end of turn. So he is ridiculous. You could use the grade 1 to bind a card and give him an automatic plus 2, swings for 11. He's really good with, I think it's Kabuki Congo, and we'll get to that, but I really like this card. He's your big aggressor / kind of like the threat. I know Eradicators have a lot of guys that get plus 2 when stuff gets retired. They're like this, but it's just for when stuff gets sent to the bind zone. So I run for him. I really like him. With my grade 2s, I usually run 4 of 2 cards that I really like and 3 that I'm kind of just meh on. And for the Nubatama Stealth Beast Tamahagane, when he's called to the Vanguard or Rear Guard circle, if you have a Nubatama Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, bind it face up, and at the end of the turn, your opponent puts that card or that bound card into his hand. He is amazing. I'm debating whether or not I want to run 4 of him and then 3 of the Chigasumi, but his effect is great. So it sends a card to the bind zone, which sets off our Kokujo here, which is a nice effect. The real thing I like about him is it's a rear guard. So if you have a 12k attacker or something that's just really just hammering you, you can use his effect, send him to the bind zone, hit successfully, Soul Blast 1, discard that sumbitch. It's a really great way to get stuff off the field, and I like it a lot. I'm only running 3 right now, but as playtesting goes on, I might run more, but right now it's just 3. And then moving on finally to the grade 3s. I only run 2, so we can just go ahead and go La, and the rest of you guys just kind of go over there and be pretty. So we have the Break Ride, which is Shira Stealth Dragon Kujuki Congo. His effect is Limit Break. When a Nubatama rides this card, choose your Vanguard until the end of the turn. It gets plus 10k, typical Break Ride. Your opponent then chooses a card from his or her hand and discards it. Your opponent then chooses a card from his or her hand and binds it face down until the end of the turn. At the end of the turn, the card that was bound gets bounced back to the hand. That's fucking amazing. So, say your opponent's got 4 cards in hand. Just by break riding, you've taken half their hand out. And then, of course, you can always hit with this attack. Use your starter's effect, Kuroku, and oh, yeah, shit that was bound. Yeah, it's dead now. I really like him. His art's sexy. His sleeves are also sexy. I'm a big fan. He's just a great break ride. Yeah, I can't say no good stuff about him. And then, really, the main kind of enforcer here is Shira Stealth Dragon Kabuki Congo. His effect is Limit Break 4. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, bind all your opponent's rear guards face up. If the number of cards of your opponent's bind zone is 3 or more, this unit gets plus 10k until the end of battle. At the end of that turn, your opponent puts the cards bound by this effect into his or her hand. So, this dude's a monster. Not only can he essentially break ride himself by binding at least 3 cards in your opponent's field, he's just amazing. You can have us one to get 2k, but no one's ever going to do that. I like this guy a lot. He synergizes amazingly well with our boy Kokujo here, because if they have a full field, you use Kabuki Kongo's effect, you bind 5 cards, he gets plus 10k, and you swing for the fences. It's beautiful. I'm a big fan as well of if the biggest, I guess, skill with the Nubatamas here is the fact that the cards that you bind on the field eventually go back to the hand. So if you can't burn them with Kokoro here and you're stuck with them, What you want to do is, if you retire your front two rear guards, kill those guys with your rear guards, and then if they have a full back row, by binding them, his effect goes off, so he gets 10k. And then, I mean, there's very few cards on the back row that really make a huge impact when you play them again. It's not like bouncing back a blaster blade or something to their hand and then having them play it again next turn. This move is good. I really like his ability. It does take some skill of knowing when to do it. It just opens up a lot of options. There's no chance for intercept, but at the same time, you're going to give your opponent a chance to rearrange their field, redeploy active effects. So, definitely break riding, Kabuki Kongo on Kajuki Kongo. I hope I'm saying that. Yeah, Kajuki Kiri, whatever. Break riding Kabuki on Kajuki. You just swing for 30, bind their whole field. You're going to take 2 cards out of their hand with him, and then hopefully you can hit and use your starter, Kurokuo, to go ahead and just decimate their hand a little bit. I really like this clan. I've been playtesting it not as much as I'd like. I've been going up against a lot of Battle Sisters because a good friend of mine runs that deck, and ever since they got the new support, he's been obsessed with it. They're a little tough against Battle Sisters and clans that draw, just because instead of minusing them hugely, it just keeps them from plussing as much, which is still good, it's just not optimal. That's the Nubatama Ninjas, everybody. First deck profile here, so I'm not really sure how long I should go. I kind of gone over some strategies and things that I really like about the deck. Again, it's a great budget option, and I feel like even though it's budget, it does have a really good chance to be, still competitive. You can definitely catch some people off guard if they've never run against the Nubatamas before or just aren't expecting it. But it's definitely a fun deck, so like I said, bum them off your friends, or even if you go to your favorite online retailer. I got all mine off channelfireball.com, which is a great website if you've never been there. It cost me, I think, $56 with shipping, and I ordered them Friday and got them Monday morning. So it is a good deck. Any tweaks or any suggestions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. And thanks for watching, guys, and stick tuned for more deck profiles from me. Card fight on. I don't know if I want to make that my thing. Note to self, remember to edit this.